Hello, I'm Jim, and welcome to Rallying in America, the Recce Podcast. This podcast is an exploration of a rich history, the stories and memories of those who made and make Rallying in America so great. Enjoy the show. Our guest this week is Eli Goethel. We chat about meeting Dan and Liz from Radix Racing Collective, the infamous can of beans, pushing the limits, and his rally car adventure. Well, Eli, thanks for being on the podcast. Appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, and so you were brought up in one of my previous podcasts by Dan and Liz of Radix Collective, and I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit how you met Dan and Liz.
Sure. So I went to Michigan Tech, the Rally University, as they call it, and I was in a group of friends, and we did quite a bit of Subaru driving in the woods type activities, and there was this very tall, very modified Subaru that we saw around town all the time, and it was it had steel teeth instead of a front bumper, because most cars in the UP end up hitting deer, and as a college student, instead of fixing it, you just add teeth, and everybody knew this car is that one car with the teeth. And eventually, we were even seeing this Subaru on Subaru Facebook posts about lifted cars, and we're like, okay, we should probably go talk to this guy. He lives right down the road. Houghton is not very large, so turns out he was a mutual friend of Max Sutton, one of my buddies, and I got to know him a little bit, mostly because he worked on the same type of Subarus I had, so we did a lot of parts swapping and sharing expertise, and there's a lot of rusty Subaru repairs that go on in the UP, so there were many nights where we had 3 nearly identical Subarus all on jack stands, swapping parts around in circles, trying to get one of them to run. And
sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, of course. But that's how I met Dan. And for a little while, when I first bought the car, we were doing some sim racing, and he was the computer nerd that got us all set up with the capable sim racing. The modified Richard Burns Rally is definitely the way to go. But yeah, Dan was the one that really could set that program up and make it run every time you open the computer.
What point did the Mitsubishi come into play?
So the Mitsubishi came into play. I had spectated about 2 LSPRs, and I had never raced. We were playing around in the woods, and the safety level of our playing around in the woods was beginning to concern me, because we were learning how to slide, and we were going out at nights that you could see headlights coming the other way, and we had 1 or 2 close calls that made me nervous. And seeing LSPR was, I realized that's how you do it without getting in trouble. Is
there you go.
You pay the entry fee and you build the car, and then you don't have to slow down because there's nothing coming in the way.
Right. And
we kind of briefly talked about buying a car, my buddies and I, and this Mitsubishi came up on Marketplace, and it was dirt cheap. It was $1,200.
Nice.
And I screenshotted it. It already had a cage, a logbook, and rally suspension, which is pretty much the big 3.
Perfect.
And I sent it to my buddies, and I said, hey, if this was all-wheel drive, I would totally buy it. And they came back and they said, you're an idiot. It is all-wheel drive. So, of course, then I had to buy it. And we drove. This was middle of college, and none of us were incredibly wealthy at that point in our lives. So we drove my buddy's minivan, and we had my little trailer on the back of it. We were planning on driving this car home. It was about 6 hours away.
Okay.
So we bought the car. It test drove fine. I paid for it. And then we did a little more test driving. And right after I had signed the title, the entire prop shaft kind of just exploded out from under the car.
Oh, no.
So we were stranded in Lower Michigan with a minivan and a car that it would not go anywhere without the prop shaft. It's not a solid center diff or anything like that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, yeah. So we ended up buying the seller. We bought it from Mark Howard. He was in Lower Michigan, but he also sold us a car dolly for $500, kind of out of necessity. So we loaded up on the car dolly, pulled it with the minivan, and then we put my little 4x8 trailer on the roof of the Eclipse. And that is how we learned that when you cross the Mackinac Bridge, they only charge you for the number of axles that are touching the ground.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's four-wheel or all-wheel drive and the shaft broke, it was okay to tow it with a dolly rather than on a trailer then?
Yeah, and
we
regularly
anything because it's already messed up.
Yeah, and we would regularly dolly it, and all you have to do is disconnect the prop shaft. It's 4 bolts, and we dollied cars and Subarus plenty. That turns out owning a car dolly is a very useful thing to have when none of your cars stay running.
Yeah, I should get one, but then I'd have nothing to pull it with because I'm not having good luck with cars. But anyways.
Yeah, I've heard. But yeah, after we bought the car, we eventually were able to source the hard to find prop shaft part from Matt Hookey of Houghton of Matt's Auto Glass, and he used to race these cars.
Oh, cool.
So he supplied me with the part I needed, but the deal was I had to take the entire chassis that he had, the parts car.
Okay.
So that was fine. It's the UP. You can park a car anywhere. And we got that back together. We had to pull the trans and replace the plate between the trans and the motor to hold the starter in a more correct position. And what I did is that for a spring break, I drove it home in the winter. Sorry, not spring break, winter break. And I drove it home with no heat, got it to my parents' house, took it to a buddy's shop, and I did all the door bar reinforcements and the cage requirements then.
Oh, okay.
Which this is all new to me. I've never built a race car before. I'm learning as I go. But I got the cage together. I got the logbook certified. We had to add a bulkhead for the fuel cell.
Oh, right.
And the way I did that is we were moving out of our condemned rental house at the time, and I claimed some of the siding from the building and used that to build a bulkhead.
Perfect.
And there's a bit of a stop sign that's involved with that. But yeah, so that was how we built the bulkhead around the fuel cell. And then I had to buy a new liner, which we put in the night before the first race in Powers.
Okay.
And that was the can of beans race.
Okay. The infamous can of beans that Dan and Liz talk about.
Right. Yes. That was we rolled in, and the car had actually been in Wisconsin. Zach Richard drove it for that race. And he had it down. He rally crossed it, I think, but he was driving it around, getting comfortable with the car. And then he drove up, and we met him with the fuel cell to put in. And that's when we realized that we had no camping equipment at all. And actually, Zach Richard was probably the least prepared of us all. I think multiple races, he showed up with no tent, no sleeping mat, no pillow, no sleeping bag, just his race suit and helmet.
Wow. What did he plan on just sleeping in the car,
Well, he ended up sleeping in my tent,
or?
and he said, "quote, you just tough it out,"
Huh. I
which is
guess so.
exactly what you want to hear from the guy who's going to drive your car.
Well, I guess, yeah. I guess that's kind of a plus. Then you just tough it out.
I
He's going to be
suppose.
that determined to make things work and make things happen.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and
Okay.
that race, let me think here. I'm scrolling through my photo collection to try to jog my memory.
Mm-hmm.
That race, we made it till I think just after lunch. I was the navigator on this one, and we had a AN line loosen up from doing the fuel cell, and we never thought to check under there because
Mm.
our bulkhead was kind of held together with the sheet metal screws,
Mm-hmm.
so fueling was kind of a big deal. So we ended the day halfway through the day parked in the weeds trying to diagnose this no start issue, and at that race, we were a little too confident, perhaps, and
Okay.
we did not bring our car dolly. We figured we would drive the car there and then drive it home after,
Okay.
which which that's pretty much means we're going to break the car when you don't bring a way to tow it home.
Right. It's like going out with an umbrella. It's not going to rain, and
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. And we've made that mistake too many times at this point. So I ended up having to drive 4 hours or 2 hours back to Houghton, drive 2 hours back down with the car dolly. And my only tow vehicle at the time was my Subaru Forester, which was running on 3 cylinders.
Wow. You
So
guys are living. You guys like living on the edge. That's what it is.
yeah, anything to graduate, I guess.
Right. Oh yeah.
So I ended up towing that car home with a blown up Forester. Couldn't even get it into fifth gear, but it made it. Took a while, and we got that issue sorted pretty quickly. The second race we did, Zach was still driving. I was still navigating. At this point, I didn't have the funds to own the car and also race it, so that is why Zach was racing.
Okay.
And our buddy Max Sutton was paying the insurance for the car, and he was supposed to be able to deliver pizzas with it, but it spent most of its time broken.
Hmm.
hmm But our second outing was, I believe that was the first running of Hardwood Cup, perhaps.
Okay.
And at that year, that was, what year are we? I believe that was 20. I'm not entirely sure. I think it was 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But that event was ran as a tulip rally. So instead of pace notes being provided or us having a chance to write our own,
Mm-hmm.
which we did not really know how to do yet, it was pretty much drive what you can see. And every couple of miles, we had notes of, concerning corners to be aware of.
Okay.
And that requires your car to have a functional odometer. Yes, we didn't have that. So we were driving off of no notes at all because our odometer wouldn't, it wasn't accurate. My cell phone GPS wasn't tracking correctly either.
Okay.
So I pulled out Google Maps and I decided that we could navigate off of Google Maps, off of the curves in the road.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that doesn't account for going up and down hills, it seems.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, so we again made it till just after lunch.
We'll be right back. Power up your ride. Daily driver, bike, or track beast with Melee Design Firm. Since 2018, Melee has been the go-to source for high-performance battery mounts and power solutions trusted by enthusiasts and professionals alike. Whether you're carving corners on the weekend, commuting to work, or chasing podiums, they have the gear to keep you powered and ready. Their lightweight universal battery mounts are engineered for performance, crafted with precision, and designed to handle whatever you throw their way. They don't just make and sell parts, they build confidence under the hood. Rugged, industrial, functional. That's the Melee difference. Join thousands of satisfied drivers who refuse to settle for stock. Upgrade your battery game today. Now back to the show.
And we, a left 3 going uphill is very different from a left 3 going downhill.
Mm-hmm.
And we very quickly found ourselves in the bushes. And we folded a wheel, bent the rear subframe, and actually hit a stump too.
Oh, yikes.
So that was our first year with the car. Our first season, I guess, was 2 races. Both of them, we made it halfway. We got the car fixed up over that winter, essentially. At this point, I was working for Matt Hookey at his collision repair shop.
Okay.
Which it turns out when you buy a rally car and you go through the history and message all the prior owners of this car and anyone that might have parts for this car, you can make a lot of friends really quickly.
Oh yeah, that's pretty smart though to follow that chain of ownership and hunt.
Oh sure. In the rally community, it's amazing how excited people are to talk about the sport and to invite you in and share the trade secrets. And
yeah, the community is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really something. But yeah, so our second season with the car, let's see here. I fixed the damage we had. We did a little winter rally crossing, a little driving around. We broke a knuckle, which I guess is a common issue with these cars.
Okay.
Replaced it. I did a little bit of an engine reseal. We blew the head gasket testing it, replaced that.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we never really prepped the car. We just continued to use it, and then when it broke, we would fix it.
Right. And that's kind of what you do as a college kid, though. With a car, is and it teaches a lot of things,
Oh yeah.
Some character too, I'm sure. Some character building.
Yes. Yeah, I distinctly remember being in the newcomer orientation meeting was over Zoom for NASA Rally Sport.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being in the Zoom meeting the night before, or maybe 2 days before the race, and we had the laptop propped up and we were replacing the head gasket right there during the meeting.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
You guys,
so
go ahead.
Our second season, I'll go through real quickly. That was my first time driving, and I, on the second stage, clipped a corner, hit a boulder, bent the control arm, and put us out right away.
Yikes.
And then the second race, I had Zach drive again, and he threw a serpentine belt, overheated the motor. We got a serpentine belt back on. It seemed to run fine, and he finished the race that time. So that was technically still a DNF, but that was our first time crossing the finish line.
Excellent. Now,
go ahead, you were saying.
With your group, do you guys get into any arguments or fights, or I know for me and some of my friends, if we constantly had issues and trouble, we'd probably start taking things out on each other. Did that ever happen with you guys?
No, not really. And I think a large factor of that is like we don't put that much time into this activity. We're limited by budget at this point, and we're also, you only have so much time, and we don't spend all of it doing this. So when you show up to an event, it's just kind of expected that we'll be unprepared.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So yeah, it was never really an issue, and our quota is if we can make it half of the day for say a tenth of the price of the of what we expect to have paid if we were spending the money that we think everybody else is spending, then it's a good day.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, and I'm glad you guys didn't just attack each other, or that would have made things much worse, obviously. So
No. Yeah, we have expectations set pretty low.
yeah,
And Nathan Usher with the Rally Combiner thing, he
yeah.
has the Mud Whale Super Champio competition in there.
Oh, okay.
And it's a factor of the value of your car, the amount of stage miles you drive in a season,
Mm-hmm.
and your average speed across those stages, or your speed factor.
Oh,
And
okay.
this is for all in North America, ARA and NASA. We did one single event and only made it halfway through the event, and for that month, it put us in first place.
Wow.
So that's a testament to how cheap our car is, I guess.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, Nate's pretty. He was fun to talk to, and just had him on not too long ago, or last week actually, and
Oh yeah.
or actually this week. Um, don't even know what day it is. So yeah, it was a really interesting conversation with him, and all the work that he puts into the rally combiner thing. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah, that website is amazing.
yeah. So what's the status of your car now?
So now we've had this has puts us on season. I think I'm lining up for season 3 now. Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
and currently I now have I'm graduated for as of 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's it sits in a garage, which is super nice. It doesn't get super rusty like it was before.
Mm-hmm.
It I pulled the motor out and redid the wiring harness and put it back in, and did some other, manual type, just trying to tidy things up. But we've got welded knuckles now, and
Awesome.
I've been trying to tinker on it, trying to get it a little more reliable. We're still running a naturally aspirated 4G63 motor,
Mm-hmm.
trying to keep it pretty bulletproof because we don't really do maintenance.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I'm hoping that I'm gonna drive the next 2 races this season, the Hardwood and Iron Mule, and we're hoping for a finish. Really, is all. That's
Oh, that
our
that's
that's
awesome.
been our attempt for the last 3 seasons, was just trying to get a finish.
Right. There you go. I think right, third time's a charm. So it's your third year.
Oh yeah,
So
I sure hope so. And I mean, we bought this car and we traced it back, the history, and it hasn't finished a rally in probably 15 years.
okay. Wow.
It's attempted a number of them, but
Yeah.
the last 2 or 3 prior owners all reported having significant issues with it.
Mm. So
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 it's
do you think it's cursed? Somebody put a hex on it or
some
something.
may say, yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it gets us our seat time, and
Yeah.
we still have way less invested into it than we would have expected. So I'm
Well, it's
pretty
great.
pleased.
Yeah, it's great that you can all still have fun with it, and yeah, that's huge. It's a big part of
Yeah,
it is
well,
just to have fun and
yeah,
uh,
and I mean, racing is only part of the fun of being in the sport and being in the
yeah,
rally community. So
right.
we race in the 2 NASA events in the season, and for all of the ARA events, pretty much my whole team will branch out and will volunteer, spectate, crew, co-drive for other teams, other events, other places.
Oh, that's great.
And it gets you a nice mixture of, we're not driving every time we go to an event, which is way better on the wallet.
Right, right. So I have to ask, going way back, how did you get into motorsports, or it was the Mitsubishi the kind of first time you really got into cars, or I'm sorry, the Subarus? Um,
Hmm.
did you grow up, you know, with a family that were into cars and motorsports, or how did that, you think started for you?
My immediate family was not particularly into motorsports at all. I have 7 siblings.
Oh.
Um, and we did some adventuring, mountain biking, camping type stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I have relatives that do a little bit of racing, and
Okay.
some of the aunts and uncles race. But my first experience, well, I've always liked the mechanical aspect of things, and I always wanted to be, you know, working on electric vehicles. But as a kid, the only thing you can find are, broken mopeds and go-karts and stuff like that.
There you go.
So that's where I got my start, was with the cheaper motorized engines. I did some motorcycles through high school, and my first car was actually a 2005 Forester XT, the manual hatchback,
Oh, cool.
turbo, all that.
Yeah.
But I bought it with the motor half installed,
Oh, okay.
and I spent, a whole summer learning how to bolt an intake on and wire it up and all that.
Very cool. That sounds
And
like
yeah,
fun, actually.
yeah, it was pretty good. Taught me a lot very quickly. And I would say I started learning how to drive the car once I went to school, and I made these friends, and we spent a lot of time driving in the woods in Jeeps, and teaching each other different things. And um, my car was factory Forester suspension, tends to be very soft. So I
Okay.
was I quickly learned the weight balance and weight shifting, and how to rotate the car without using the handbrake, and basic geometry like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zach Richard had driven a couple Lemons events, and he actually had a slammed WRX on like super stiff coils, and he knew braking zones and how to read a corner and like
Mm-hmm.
racing lines. And once we got going with the simulators, we were all teaching each other different things like this and working on the cars. It's you can learn a lot about a car when your friend group owns 3 of them and they're all breaking down all the time.
That's true. Yeah. You get very familiar with them quickly.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I still have that my first car, and I think I put 12 motors through it.
Oh, wow. 12. Wow,
But
I'm a
it's
rookie. Wow.
I'm uh I'm buying $200 junkyard motors and just putting them in and forgetting to check the oil and tuning them myself, which is only good if you take your time.
Yeah. What's still impressive? That's still really impressive to be able to
Yeah,
do that. Yeah.
there were quite a few engines there where I didn't even make it to an oil change before I blew them up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I had a Subaru Baja,
Yeah, that's right.
and the head gasket started leaking
Hmm.
and having some issues. So I thought, my friend was like, "Oh, no problem, man. You can just pull that engine out, and you know, I'll give you a hand." And ended up doing it myself. Got everything together. It was great. Got it running and started, and I'm like, I'm pretty impressed. I was able to do this.
Oh yeah,
And
nice.
then some random part, in the one of the cams or something, uh, a keyway broke, and it threw the
Oh.
timing off, and like, the valves, you know,
Hmm.
hit the smack the pistons, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, I'll never do that again.
Yeah, that is just unfortunate luck.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. Fortunately, not a lot of money put into it.
Oh
Um,
yeah, you can do those pretty cheap.
and I did my homework and making sure you replace those the head bolts. I was really careful with all the torque specifications and everything, and I got it running, and I'm like, oh, this is great. A lot of smoke coming out because I didn't have all the air system hooked
Hmm.
up. But then I'm like, oh, great.
Hmm.
So I'll open the garage door and then I'll start it again. And then something bad happened, and that was it. So, fortunately, a friend of mine bought
Yeah.
it. A friend of mine bought it off of me. So he had a
Okay.
like a Forester LL Bean edition or something, and so he's putting
Mm-hmm.
that engine in it. So good luck to him.
Nice. Yeah, being in school and learning engineering concept, I my favorite thing to do with my car was to just see how far you could push the limits. I would actually reuse the head gaskets
Oh
and the head
wow.
bolts, and I would copper spray them, and I would put it all back together. And you could do your research, and everyone says, "Well, you're in there, do this and this and this,"
Yeah.
and that triples the cost of rebuilding the motor. So I just wouldn't do any of that.
Ah, okay.
But it was always fun to just do it in the cheapest way possible. And then in all the Facebook groups,
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, you have to do it this way," and I'll comment and be like, "You can get away with doing it the wrong way for at least one oil change."
I feel like you should write a book about, how to change an engine 12 times or go through 12 engines and,
Yeah,
a
there
very
were certainly
positive,
some stupid ones.
and stay positive through the whole thing, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's all a learning experience.
Yeah, and that's key. That's key. Um, I forget who said it, but somebody like Thomas Edison or Henry Ford said, "Fail forward." As long as
Mm,
you fail, you actually make some forward progress in
sure,
those
that's
failures.
right. Yeah,
So yeah, that's there's a lot to learn there. So um,
of course.
also, I've noticed you do a lot of photography, and you've done some motorsports photography. Um,
I have a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. So, any other hobbies? I think maybe, if I'm not mistaken, you're into dirt bikes too.
Yeah, I just recently picked that up. I blew my KTM up on pretty much the first real outing we took it on, which is, you
Okay,
know, about on par for me. But
got it.
yeah, I certainly, my friend group and I mean, we like to keep things fresh and keep doing new things and different activities, and it's fun to just try different things and get into something for cheap and then sell it later and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I have a friend who does that really, and he's got a lot of cars, and I make fun of him about it. And he's like, "Well, you know what, Jim? If one doesn't start, I just go hop in the other one, and
Yep,
off I
that's
go.
that's right.
Got problems with that one? I'll go hop in the other one." And then go fix the first one in a while. So yeah, that's
Yep.
his. And I
And
tease
then
him.
before you know it, you got 9 cars and one of them kind of starts.
That's my friend. I tease him because he bought a '72 Suburban.
Hmm.
He already owns a 1990s Suburban. He just bought a used Avalanche and a used Yukon, but he's also got a BMW 2002, and yeah, he's hard on stuff, and he admits it. But yeah, if it doesn't
Right.
start, I just go hop in the other one, and off he goes. So, and
Yep.
it's I make fun of him, but I shouldn't because when I have car trouble, I'm like, "Hey Brady, can I borrow the Suburban?" He's like,
Yep.
"Sure,
He's
go for it."
always the backup.
That's
Of
right,
course.
and he does it for a lot of people, and it's kind of a uh, thankless thing sometimes. But yeah, I really
Hmm.
appreciate that.
Oh
But
yeah, it's certainly nice being the person who's the enabler, who has the extra vehicle or the extra toy to share
that
and bring people along.
Yep, that's him. So yeah, it's good to have friends like
Nice.
that.
Oh yeah, of course.
So well, Eli, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about your rally experiences and um, very interesting. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed having you on, and I'll have to chat and see how your two events go this season and see how things
Okay.
went, and we'll all be pulling for you to finish those and and everything will go smoothly.
Yep. Hopefully you'll see us in the Super Champio standings at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna look those up and follow those. Very good, very cool. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, of course. Talk to you soon.
If you'd like to be on the podcast, you can email me, jim@jimboothdesigns.com, or message me through Facebook at Rallying in America, the Recce Podcast, or Instagram, rallying_in_America. Special thanks to Brady Instruments, pro-grade, handmade, professional fuel hydrometers. Visit bradyinstruments.com for all of your fuel testing needs. Thanks to Toontank and the artist Nuclear Wave for the podcast theme music.